How the Grinch Stole Capitalism. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived south of Whoville in a dingy cave, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his home was polluted with trash from the dump. It could be the smog from the factory made him a grump. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Whatever the reason, the trash or the smog, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring up from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows above in the town, for he knew every Who up in Whoville above were busy filling their hearts with love. And they're wasting their resources, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his filthy Grinch fingers a-drumming. I must show them their wasteful attitudes are most unbecoming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early, much to the Grinch's distaste. And they'd waste. Oh, the waste, 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 waste. That's the one thing he hated. The waste, 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 waste. Then the Whos, young and old, would enlist in war, and they'd grow, and they'd grow, and they'd grow, grow. They would take other countries and destroy civilizations, and the filthy Grinch couldn't stand love for his nation. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who up in Whoville, the tall and the small, would rush, pushing each other as fast as a dart. They'd crush one another, the Whos bought at Who-Mart, and they'd buy, and they'd buy, and they'd buy. And the more the filthy Grinch thought of this Who-Mart buy, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop them or they will run out of supply. Why, for 48 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this bourgeois behavior. But how? Then he got an idea. A socialist idea. The Grinch got an awful socialist idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick revolutionary hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked, what a great symbol of freedom. When I take their possessions, they'll find they don't need them. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer were hunted, there were none to be found. Did that stop the filthy old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his retired service dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded up some bags, and some old empty sacks, on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched old Max. Then the filthy Grinch said gidap, and the sleigh started up, toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first giant house on the square, for the greater good, the old Grinchy claws hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a useless accessory. But this cause, the Grinch thought, was far more than necessary. I must persevere, he said as he moved. I must pull through. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who iPhones all hung in a row. These iPhones, he grinned, are the first thing to go. Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. iPads, Apple Watches, Starbucks gift cards and golf clubs, Louis Vuitton loafers, a brand new TV, and herbal salts for the bathtubs. Then he slunk to the refrigerator that had Bluetooth connection. As he started to clean this single Who family food collection, he saw mountains of processed meats from the store, with brightly colored treats and sweets galore. From half-eaten cake to expired cans of beans, he saw gallons of soda wanting to burn it with kerosene, with steaks that had gone bad from 2 weeks ago. The Grinch, knowing children die from hunger, lit his anger aglow. With all this spoiled food, the Grinch thought the Whos were maladjusted. Putting all the processed food in the bag made him disgusted. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I must stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to push, when he heard a sound like he was being ambushed. He turned around, ready to fight, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who, who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, but he wouldn't give up now, come hell or high water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "What the hell's this? Where are all my presents?" But, you know, those filthy Grinches will tell any lie. He thought of a fib to make sure she didn't wake the family nearby. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. The Grinch was cut off by little Cindy Lou. "I wanted a new car," Cindy Lou did spew. The Grinch, taken aback by such confidence, stood there. "Now leave and get me one, you Grinch," she said, unaware. The Grinch went back to the chimney with his stolen goods. The Grinch is no good trying to take from the Who's livelihoods. Then the last thing he took was the copper electrical wire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old filthy liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. He wanted the house to look more urban, so he left some extra food for the vermin. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, enough so the mice would breed by the thousands. It was 1:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a-snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with all their presents, the possessions, the wrappings, the food, the iPads, the laptops, the mortal trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Now all the Who's will see, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out their capitalist dreams are crumbling. They're just waking, I know just what they'll do. Their fat mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will cry when they find this punishment was long overdue. "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the filthy Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville, the Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, rushing to Whomart with credit cards to buy new presents for all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his disgusting Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? I took all that they owned, I ruined their finances for sure. They don't care at all, I can't beat something so impure. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch truly gave up. He felt emotions no more. Maybe capitalism, he thought, doesn't mean anymore. Maybe capitalism, perhaps, only comes from a store. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the filthy Grinch's will to live shrunk 3 sizes that day. The Grinch sat in the snow, contemplating his life, when a couple police officers came through the wildlife. "Hey boys, it's a Grinch," to him they addressed, and they beat him to death for theft, with no due process. Into the river the Grinch's corpse was thrown. The officers went back to Whoville with every iPhone. In the end, Christmas, I guess, means a whole lot more